not just a literal sword blade, but by an unkind remark, by an unappreciative attitude, and so on. And I've even seen people in that sort of crowd where if you do smile at them, they sort of look at you suspiciously as if you were trying to put something over on them, as if now comes the pitch attitude. But when people really are able to say it doesn't matter how I'm taken by other people, but I just enjoy feeling and expressing appreciation. I enjoy feeling and expressing love. Whether they hurt me, whether they cut me, whether they didn't really mean it, it doesn't matter. To be able to give more than the other person, to be able to open yourself more and never to be afraid of what might come as a result of it. This is the mark that I'm talking of a refined person, a sensitive person, and one who has developed enough inner strength not to need to protect himself anymore. What you have to give is your own to give, and how it's taken doesn't matter, because you're not giving it with the thought of what you're going to get in return. Most people give with that thought, and most people give appreciation with that thought. If people can really open their hearts and their minds, their souls, in a spirit of appreciation, it doesn't mean thank you, God, for all your gifts. It means, God, I love you, and it's so wonderful through your gifts to see how you love me.
From Devi Ji's latest blog. She was writing about Nayaswami Seva. I'll just read very briefly. As I was reflecting, tears began to fall silently from my eyes, but they were not tears of sorrow. Rather, they were tears of gratitude for the gifts of divine friendship, of life, of seeking the reality beyond life and death. As this gratitude filled my heart, I began to think of other episodes in my life that had at first seemed to be filled with loss, but turned out to be great gifts. With Thanksgiving approaching, I invite you to give thanks for things in your own life for which you're grateful. Think especially about those experiences that seemed difficult at first, but turned out to be blessings. Tomorrow is Thanksgiving, and it's such a special day. It's about thanking God. It's about friends and family and coming together. It's a very deep holiday, especially for devotees. And it's much less commercial than Christmas is, because people are just spending time together and reflecting on their lives and being grateful for everything that's been given to them. And it's a very special day, and I'm glad I can share with you all about it today. Swamiji here in India, every year we had Thanksgiving, special times and meals with him, and it was always a very special holiday. And when we first began our center in Italy, I was recalling, and I was writing this to Deviji yesterday because we were both recalling at the same time that first Thanksgiving with Swamiji in Europe when we were just beginning our work there. And it was it was an interesting time. It was a good time, but it wasn't without its challenges. And Swamiji, we had just been there a few months, and Swamiji reminded us on Thanksgiving Day that, oh, today is Thanksgiving, or maybe it was the day before. Tomorrow's Thanksgiving. And we didn't remember, we didn't know, we didn't think about it. And it was a difficult time. We had just gotten there. Swamiji was going to be leaving like right after Thanksgiving, and Devi and Jyotishji were sending their son back to Ananda village to go to school. He was just 5 years, maybe he was 5 or 6 years old. and might have been a year or so older, but their young son was going back, and we didn't know anybody there in Europe, really. We were just getting there. The finances were very good, and we were missing Ananda Village. We were missing our friends. We were missing our family. We were missing Thanksgiving. But Swamiji said, no, no, we should have a Thanksgiving meal here. Just the people who live there. There may have been 8 or 10 of us only. And so we made whatever we could with whatever the ingredients we could find of those special foods that we wanted to enjoy. But what I remember most was the meditation we had with Swamiji. And we sat in the temple. The temple was, I just remember, freezing cold. As many of you may know, we lived at near Lake Como, which is on the border of Switzerland. And this, of course, was in November. It was really cold. I don't know if it had been snowing already, but it was freezing, I recall. And I remember that we had some holy water on the altar. It was just completely frozen. And we were sitting there with Swamiji under thick blankets because there was very little heating. This was a startup. And so Swamiji was there, and he sat in the front. He was guiding the meditation, and many of us were I think everybody was very, very lonely and sad, and didn't really believe that anything was going to happen in Europe. And now look what's happened. And so Swamiji sat there, and he said he knew our feelings, and some people were kind of tearful under their blankets, and I can say I was one of them. And you could feel the freezing cold wind coming through the keyhole, coming into the temple. But Swamiji was just strong as ever. And he said, we should be grateful for everything that God gives to us. And we just couldn't understand how he could say those words. We were in such a bad situation, but he could see. He had a vision where Europe, Ananda Master's work in Europe was going to go. And so then afterwards, we had a dinner with Swamiji. And as I said, it was just a very small group. But there was Jyotish and Deviji with their son, and he was the only child there. And what I recall was no one at that table spoke. We were all sitting with Swamiji, and it was just kind of a gloomy, sad Thanksgiving. So then Jyotishji and Deviji's son, Mark is his name now. His name was Kalidas, they named him. And as I say, he was just a little boy, and he said, I think it was Divine Mother through him. So he just said, Dad, talking to Jyotishji, why don't you tell some jokes? And Jyotishji said, no, son, just be quiet. Just don't disturb anybody. He kept saying, why don't you tell some jokes? And finally, Swamiji said, well, Kalidas, why don't you tell some jokes? And he started telling all kinds of strange and funny jokes, and it broke the ice. And we all realized that whatever happens, we were in God's hands. And it became a more digestible, shall we say, Thanksgiving, because we all could see that somehow everything was going to be all right. And I think as we reflect on Thanksgiving now, so many people, they thank God for what's good, what I got, what God gave me. But how many people thank God for the difficult times, the times of loss, as Deviji was writing about, that you know that underneath everything is God's hand, and more than that is God's love and God's blessings in our lives. And I was remembering a difficult time that I had once, and Swamiji's words were really unbelievable, but they proved true. He said, Diana, this is the best thing that ever happened to you. And I just couldn't see it, but they proved true. And you all probably remember Master lost the Golden Lotus Temple. It fell into the Pacific Ocean because of erosion. And he said, it's the best thing that ever happened to me, because he could go out then. And he said, Divine Mother wanted me to go out. And he started 3 other centers right after that. But he was just there for that time while he was enjoying that place. And then he went out, and not very much long after that, he left his body. And then I was remembering Swamiji would talk about the difficulty that he had when he had to leave Master's organization. He said he had such a pain in his heart, and he felt Master didn't even love him. Did Master even care for him anymore? And then he said that he realized that, of course, Master did. Of course, Master loved him. And you see what happened after that. Ananda wouldn't have been born. Swamiji wouldn't have been there to guide any of us. He wouldn't have reached the probably millions of people that he has, and written the books and the music. And he wouldn't have been able to serve his guru in the way that Master wanted. So it looked like a disaster, and many things in our lives do. But if you take the time and you see the divine hand is there behind it. I'll close with this. I was remembering when we lived here again in the earlier years in Italy at Ananda Assisi, we had just gotten this beautiful new center, but it was definitely a fixer-upper. We had to fix it up for a long time. And but so we would have house meetings once a week, and there were, I don't know, maybe 30 of us there by then. And I just remember every house meeting, we would go around and everyone would say something or share or ask whatever they needed. And I just remember everyone complained all the time. Oh, this didn't happen. Oh, I don't like the food. Oh, it's too cold. Oh, I don't like, you didn't give me the car when I needed it, because we all shared one car. And everybody in that group was complaining. And I was one of the leaders there, and I just thought, this can't go on. It's terrible. So we changed the tune by making creating a gratitude circle. And we just said at the beginning of every meeting, we'll go around, yes, but every person here should say something that they're grateful for. That completely changed the energy, not just of the meeting, but the whole center and the ashram. Because once you went around that 30 people, thanking people, thank you for the wonderful meal. Thank you for giving me the keys to the car on time. Thank you for helping me with my work or whatever. Everybody was uplifted. And so in your own life, as Deviji said, think of something that you're grateful for, not particularly something that is wonderful in your life, but think of something that maybe is a test for you, a person it's a test for you, a difficult situation, and know that through it, that you can grow spiritually. And these challenges are there so that we become strong and centered in ourselves, and that we can feel the presence of God more deeply in ourselves. So let's close now this part by just closing our eyes for just a moment and thinking of something that you're grateful for, that's in your life now, that you want to thank God and gurus for. It could be one thing, it could be a couple or several. Thank you, God, for whatever it is in your life. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. And I wanted to just read a couple of these wonderful quotes from Swamiji on gratitude. I'll just read a couple, Natindra, then we'll put them on the screen at the end. The virtue of gratitude, above all, is for ourselves. It is self-ennobling. Another, gratitude is the surest way of developing the magnetism that attracts spiritual abundance into our lives. And two more, when we look at life with inward vision and from a standpoint of our own and of others' spiritual development, we find cause for gratitude, where first we may have discerned only tragedy. And finally, God's love is infinite. Let us lift up our hearts in gratitude to Him who has sent His one light repeatedly into the world for the salvation of humanity. Now we have a couple of questions before we close.
Yes, Yanaji, let me just share my screen. So the first question is, I do feel gratitude, but it is hard for me to thank people outwardly. So do I have to express it outwardly?
Yes, that's a good question. I know many people, especially here, as Swamiji was saying on this talk, feel so much, but they don't, it's not culturally, it's not a way, it's not how we express things here. But I see so many ways of thanking people. I see so many gifts coming out all the time. And I was asking some devotees the other day about gift giving, and they said it's a sign of respect and it's a sign of love. And so if you feel, you don't want to be fake saying thank you, thank you, thank you. If you feel to say, fine. If you feel to give, fine. I was remembering just something that I'll never forget in my life of someone who showed appreciation in such a sweet and such a unexpected way. It was Thanksgiving many years back, and we were here in India. We hadn't been here that long, and Jayaji were in Mumbai doing a program at someone's home, and of course, it was Thanksgiving. So of course, we were talking about Thanksgiving, and we were feeling a bit nostalgic, and we were missing Thanksgiving. Let's face it. And so it was like if you would be in America on Diwali and nothing ever happened. And so we talked about what we did with Swamiji on Thanksgiving and on and on, and then we went on and talked about whatever the topic was. So at the end of that satsang, the person who had brought us there was going to take us back to wherever we were staying. I think it was a hotel. And we were getting in the car, and his name is Sandeep. He's from Mumbai. Now he lives in Pune. Wonderful soul. We're getting in the car, and he said, and guess where we're going now? And we said, oh, I guess we're going home. He says, no, we're going out for Thanksgiving dinner. We were so touched by that. It was late at night. I don't think we started the meal till about 11 o'clock at night because the satsang went on, and we went there, and it was a Chinese restaurant, which we never had a Chinese Thanksgiving meal, but it was so touching. And that's what I mean, that it doesn't have to be something that you say, but just in your actions, in your smile, in your eyes, in your behavior, there's just a wonderful sense of not even just directly to the person, but thank you, God, for this friend, for this Guru Bhai, for the love that I feel from you through them. So try that.
Thank you, Dhyanaji. The next question is, sometimes I just can't thank God for bad things that happen in my life. I feel like I am being punished. So how could I change that attitude?
Well, think of it as a long rhythm. And if you think of a child, you're raising a child, some things happen, that wonderful days happen, sad days happen. Maybe the child's sick, maybe the child's in the hospital. Maybe some days the child's misbehaving. You have to speak strongly to the child. I mean, there's a long rhythm in raising a child, isn't it? It's not, oh, it's all joy, joy, joy. I don't think for the parents or for the child. So it's the same with our spiritual life. It's not always joyful, but if you look at the end, a parent will be grateful that the Divine Mother has given them that child and the love of that child and the love that they feel for that child. And so it's the same with Divine Mother. Just know that she loves you. Even sometimes she has to discipline you. You're not good all the time. Let's face it. You're not an angel all the time. So Divine Mother has to discipline you. She's our mother. And so when times like that come, and what I just thank God, because you look later, you look 5 years, even a year, but 5 years, 10 years. I look back when I first started with Ananda, I needed discipline desperately. I needed guidance. I needed challenges. I needed tests to be able to keep moving forward. And I'm grateful. I've heard Swamiji so many times, and I can say that myself. He said, I'm grateful for the tests. I'm grateful for everything that happened because I was able to grow spiritually. So see that in things that happen. And in some way, there's something in every test that you can say thank you for. Even if your child is ill, say, thank you, Divine Mother, for giving me this child. You see the difference? And my child's ill. How come you don't heal my child? And just thank you, God, that I'm well enough to help my child to get well. So find some thread of gratitude in every situation. And then you'll find more and more threads there. Then you'll be more grateful all the time.
Thank you, Dhanaji. We have 2 more questions. The first one is there always pain in spiritual growth? And it's hard to be thankful for that. So can I thank God after the pain is gone and when I see why it happened?
Well, that's kind of like the other one. But you know what I really feel about this? It's gratitude is about your attitude. It's not about the thing. This happens, I'm grateful. This happens, I'm not grateful. The attitude of a devotee is, I'm grateful for God's love, for God guiding me. I'm grateful that I have a guru. I'm grateful that Master's helping me to find God. Behind everything, we have to see that it's Divine Mother. And so otherwise, it's categorized and this and that. But have a grateful heart, develop the attitude of, I'm grateful, God. And I just remember I was, there were many difficult times. You've heard Jyotishan Deviji talk about the fire at Ananda. You've heard me talk about the difficult times in the work coming up in Europe. Lord knows there were difficult times getting the work started in India. Some of you were there, some of you weren't. But even so, no matter what, I just remember always feeling, even if I'm sleeping on the floor, I'm going to serve my guru. Even if I have nothing to eat, I'm going to serve my guru because I'm grateful that he's with me. And you see the difference? It's an attitude that I'm grateful, not give me, give me, give me, then I'll thank you. So even if you get nothing, there were people in concentration camps. So there's a beautiful story of 2 sisters. And the one, Betsy and Corey, Betsy, she was the more wise, and she kept telling Corey, just be grateful no matter what. And they were in a concentration camp. And the sister said, I'm sorry, I just can't be grateful. And then they were in one of these barracks and they would study the Bible, and they had a little study group. But if they were caught studying the Bible or gathering like that, they would be tortured or even killed. And so one day they were grouped together and they were studying, and then some guards were checking all the barracks, and they walked by, and this barracks had a lot of fleas in it. where they were. So Corey, the younger sister, kept saying to the other sister, I can't be grateful for this. I can't be grateful for these, please. And so the guards were walking by and they were about to go in and they would have been killed probably. They were studying the Bible, and one of the guards said, oh, let's not go in there. It's full of fleas. then Sister Betsy said to Corey, see, I told you, you have to be grateful for everything. So people are pampered. Let's face it. People are pampered. Oh, I need this, and I've got 10 servants, and if one is sick, I'm upset. And I have 5 cars. If one's broken down, I'm upset. I have 3 houses. I have one in America, I have one in Hawaii, and I've got one in India. One's broken down and it's leaking. I'm upset. It's like, get a life. And I mean a spiritual life. Get a life. Read the lives of the saints. They went through a lot to become a saint. And if you want to be like them, you have to change these attitudes. And one is gratitude no matter what.
Thank you, Dhanaji. The final question is, I like to give gifts to those who I love instead of thanking them with words. Is that okay?
Yeah. I love giving gifts too. It's just so sweet. But remember, and I'll make this short, remember that it's your love, God's love for that person that should be behind the gift. Not, oh, look how big a gift I got you. And I hope you get me a big gift for my birthday or Christmas or whatever. Oh, look how small that gift is. I'll give him a small gift. It's like the gift is your love in the box or in the card. But the love in the heart is what you're giving the person. And don't pile on gifts thinking that you're going to get something back. If you want to give a gift, give. If you don't. But remember, it's your love, God's love through you, that person should be receiving. God bless you all. And Natendra, as we close, you can put up those quotes on the screen. And happy Thanksgiving to everybody. God bless you.